Today we look at another key to success. Do and dare to be bold. Listen up and find out why we should aim for the impossible. We'll ask ourselves, is there anything reasonably impossible to accomplish? And why it pays to be bold. Welcome to the Rodney Podcast. Okay, I don't know up to this point if I ever shared a story that is something that's kind of current. You know, I talked about my past in these podcast stories and the things I've done, but today I think I'll briefly discuss a current goal of mine. You know, I've mentioned before that I'm at a point in my life where I love what I'm doing. I believe I was made to truly encourage and inspire other people, along with helping people discover they were made for a purpose, that they were designed by the Creator, by God, to do His will, and to help people find that out is something I want to do. But for me, I've said before that I want to reach 10 million people and encourage, motivate, and inspire them. And kind of the question comes down to this, like, how can I measure that? You know, I mean, there's downloads I can count and YouTube views, followers on Instagram, etc., because there is some analytics there. And, you know, some may say that what I'm going for is impossible, but I want to say that I'll get farther than they ever will because of my goal, right? That whole thing about finding goals that are impossible. Right. And the more I type this out, the more I'm writing this podcast, right? As I'm writing this podcast and thinking about this, the more I think that I should have probably said 1 billion, you know, as you think about long term, year after year, how many people I can count with downloads of all of my content and followers that 10 million may be, you know, it's a decent fair amount, but probably I should probably get a little longer. I'll tell you what, I'll amend this goal to probably, when I hit the 10 million mark, I'll probably amend it to 10 billion, you know, just make it something that's really a big challenge, right? And to do this, I have to be bold. I have to be bold and do things like getting a videographer. You can check out my YouTube channel. Doing a podcast a day for the month of February. It's really been fun, but it's also been a commitment that I had to do. And you guys have been listening. Thank you very much. And I'm in this to make a difference and a change and to do the impossible. And that's what we're all about, talking on the Rodney Podcast.
I just listened to your podcast and I gotta say there's so much drive and energy. I want to say that I believe that you will make an impact on 10 million people. I believe that you got this 100%.
Well, today's podcast is being recorded in February of 2019 and is part of a daily month-long series titled Keys to Success. And today's key is all about being bold, do and dare, right? And you know what I think we as a society have an issue with? You know, we see miracles and impossibility every day, but we still think things are impossible. Let me break it down for you. This is what I'm talking about. Think back to, let's say, your grandparents, maybe even your great-grandparents, but your grandparents, and they were watching sci-fi shows like Star Trek. You know, and they'll see these people tap their logos on their shirts. I think that's how they did it. And they would communicate, you know, from the planet up to the ship. You know, they would communicate far distances, and it was instant, you know. Their voice would travel through the air somewhere long distances away. And you know what? Your grandparents probably laughed at that if somebody said, we need to make that true. That's going to come true one day, right? And they said, yeah, right, your voice going through air. Where is the cord? Where is the telephone cord, the telephone wires? That will never happen. That is what? Impossible. You know, I remember back in the day when you had a cell phone and they were large, right? And with that cell phone, you would also have a digital camera, of course, because you wanted to take nice pictures. And that was cutting edge of it was digital. You know, we have analog cameras and still do, but digital, I mean, that was like the high tech. You know, you had a video camera as well because you wanted to record. And the early ones, they were connected to a VCR or they had the VHS tape inserted in the camera. So they were huge cameras as you recorded straight to VHS. You know, now, if I had said back then, you know what, I'll just use my phone for video, for pictures. I'll search the internet. I'll send emails. I'll do these things called text messaging and so on and so on. And they would look at it and see how thin and small it was. Oh, and by the way, it cost $1,000. The laughs I would have gotten. And the people who talk about me and say how crazy I am would continue to do that. They would say, this guy is out of his mind. A phone is to call people. I remember years ago, I was in the computer store and I was buying a desktop computer, and the salesperson showed me this nice machine. It was good. It had a disk drive, and the hard drive storage, hold on, because it was a whopping 8 gigs of hard drive storage. And the person boosted, our phones hold more than that, right? And he boasted. He was excited. He said, I will never be able to fill up that hard drive. Just imagine. And I use these practical examples as proof that nothing is impossible. Because what we have today and what we had back then, nobody would have dreamed about it. Well, I shouldn't say nobody because it's here, right? But why do we continually doubt people who think big and think of doing the impossible, right? Because here's the truth. Successful people are bold and will dare to do what nobody else does. Can you imagine if Steve Jobs was worried about what people said? If he thought his ideas were impossible and dumb? So he should probably do something safe, right? Why make an iPhone? Nobody knows it exists. People probably don't need all of those features in a $1,000 phone. And Steve Jobs did make some failures, but he understood that failure does not mean the game is over. He understood that it was good to stretch imagination. It is impossibility that stretches you and shows you what you can become. So what's holding you back from going all in and aiming for the impossible? Because I guarantee that if you fail reaching for the impossible, you'll still be successful because you dared to try. So what should we do to keep in mind to help us reach for the impossible? Well, 3 things. 1, commit to setting reasonably impossible goals. That sounds kind of funny, right? Reasonably impossible. What I mean by that is, there's certain things that may be really out there, really wild, immortality. It's a big thing to do. And I can go the religious route with that one. But you know what I mean? Reasonably impossible. A cell phone being able to do all those features with taking pictures and being a computer is reasonably impossible because we can kind of see that, yeah, that can probably happen, but who knows, right? And then be bold in your actions as you set goals to get you there. Do you truly believe in your goal? Or are you doing everything you can and being bold in it? And then number 3, ignore those who you should ignore and listen to those who you should listen to. There will be people out there who give you good advice and people out there who will not give you such good advice, right? The key is to discern who to listen to and who you shouldn't. And people will also just kind of compliment you and say, you go no matter what you say, right? And they're being positive, but they're not giving constructive feedback. And that's what you need people in your life to be positive, to encourage you, but to give constructive feedback. Hope that helps. But as usual, please feel free to dialogue with me. I have my YouTube channel, Rodney O, and I have a weekly vlog, Rodney O Weekly. And that weekly vlog shows that I am living what I speak. So please be sure to subscribe to that channel. The link is in the podcast description, or you can simply go to YouTube and search Rodney O Weekly. As usual, remember this. I want to inspire, encourage, and motivate all of you as you navigate this journey that we call life. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next one.